Hi, Timothy.
Hi, how are you, Zach?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. This is going to be great.
I think it'll be fun. Yeah,
Definitely. We have people that are all hopping on the call as we speak. So we'll probably begin, give everyone a couple minutes to get in. Just
that's perfectly fine. Okay, great.
perfect. Hello.
Hello.
You know him? You know him.
Look at all these friendly faces. I'm gonna get my glasses.
Ew.
Hi, Caitlin.
Say hi, Lily.
Where is everybody checking in from? I'm from Lake Worth, Florida. Susan Funfoley.
I'm Timothy. I'm from Fort Lauderdale.
Neighbor.
This is Ray Ray, and I'm Sienna, and we're from Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville.
It's Marvin Felice, and we're from Miramar, Florida.
He's like one of the little kids at my school.
Awesome. So we're going to give everyone a few more minutes to get in, and then we'll begin. How's it going, Susan?
Going pretty good. Look.
Ah, nice.
Did my homework.
I'm glad.
Got my sewing kit.
Love it.
The only fabric I can find. I'm ready.
Awesome.
There's Maureen. Hi, Maureen.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Maureen.
Hey, Susan. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Thank you for asking.
Good. How's it going, Zach?
It's going very well. We're just giving a few more minutes for people to check in,
Cool.
then we'll begin. I'm very excited.
Zach, thank you very much for the kit with all the materials in it. It was
Awesome.
wonderful.
Perfect. So you received it. Lovely.
Yeah, it was very good. I got my Hope the Bear. So
Awesome.
I was really happy about that. Did everybody else get Hope the Bear too?
Tim, we haven't seen your project with Hope.
Oh, mine?
Yes.
Here it is. This is I ended up making a puppet for Hope the Bear. And
Fabulous.
because of Hope needed a friend and the doll from my story today. So together, there they are.
Perfect.
Well, there's Hope the Bear, and Hope the Bear got into buttons and got into all kinds of stuff in the sewing kit, and they are ready to go ahead and read the story and rock and roll. All right.
Fabulous.
Perfect.
Oh, look at here. Susan has something good.
It's very nice.
How many buttons do we need?
You could use as many as you really want. Yeah.
All right.
I know we
Don't tell Susan that. You don't know her very well.
If I were to go to my warehouse right now, I could get a whole bin of buttons.
I know you could. I know you could.
Well, now you can do all kinds of things because now you can sew dolls, you can sew masks now. There's like all kinds of creative activities we can be doing.
I like it.
I wonder if they could do a button-up mask. I bet they could. We'll have like we could actually button it.
They probably
Very
could.
cool.
Yeah.
This button is Deliver the Dream Red.
Oh,
Very
there you go.
We love it. All right. So I think we can begin. We've got some people still going to probably trickle in as we go, but that's okay. Of course, hello, everyone. I am Zach Goldberg. I'm the program director here at Deliver the Dream. This is our Hope at Home. Today we have a very special guest with us, and we're excited to have him here. This is Timothy. Lesnar, who is going to be, Lefner, perfect, who is going to be reading a beautiful book for us today and an activity. So let's see here. Let's see. Would you like to give a little intro about yourself, Timothy?
Sure, Zach. Well, thank you very much. Thank you all for having me. Come on to this virtual program, Hope at Home. What a cool concept. And I wish you a lot of success with it. Glad to be here for Deliver the Dream. I'm a children's book author and artist. I was a classroom teacher for a long, long time. And I finally decided that I was always doing artwork and always painting and then always reading children's books to children. And I thought, wow, why not write a children's book? And my mom actually was a writer. And my first book that I wrote, the first children's book that I wrote and illustrated, was called The House Where Happiness Lived. And it was by my mom, Sue Heiser Leisner, and I did the illustrations for it. This was the first book that I did a few years ago. And just this summer, I collaborated with another writer by the name of Stacy Jovine, and she wrote this book called Turducken, The Untold True Story, and I illustrated all the illustrations for that. And also I do coloring books and that type of thing, and then illustrate the covers for textbooks and for novels and that type of thing. But so I've been an artist for my whole life and really a writer. And it's really fun to write for children because I do think they appreciate it. And a lot of my stories are family stories. And of course, The House Where Happiness Lived, the one that I showed you before, was definitely a family story because it was my mom's story. But I decided to do another story. And the one I'm going to share with you today is called Stitch and Sew, the Doll Maker's Story. And this is a very special story because I was motivated to write it because it's about my sister. And my sister loved to make dolls. And she actually made, this is actually one of the dolls that she made. She made sort of like rag dolls. And what she would do is she would get like different fabric and earrings, and she would paint faces on them. And she made a whole series of dolls. And she just loved to do it. And she would give them to friends and that type of thing. And so she did it for a number of years and always liked them. This one was actually made from an old dish towel. So there's different things that you can do, and this is what she did. And I wanted to honor that she made those dolls. So I decided to write the story. So would you like to hear it?
I'd love to.
Yeah.
All right, good. I will read for you. It's called Stitch and Sew, the Doll Maker's Story by Timothy Leisner. I'm thinking at this time of the doll maker, an industrious woman who loved to make dolls. She was a hardworking mother of two. Her time was limited and her resources few. She used what she had, cast off fabric and such, which emerged into dolls with her talented touch. Each minute was busy, working all day. The housework, the childcare, left little time to be gay. Work came first, and free time was spare. She toiled for all, and time for her was rare. But at night, when the house was all straightened, and all the chores were done, and everyone was safely tucked into bed, she would sit down and begin making her dolls. Stitch and sew, making dolls throughout the night. Each one had to be just right. Stitch and sew, and her doll collection began to grow. From discarded clothing, old fabric and scraps, she made new dolls, with passion, perhaps. She did not call them rag dolls, although they may be. These dollies weren't rags. They had personality. Stitch and sew, making dolls throughout the night. Each one had to be just right. Stitch and sew, and soon there was a cute duo. 1, 2. These two were cute, but they needed a friend. She made one more before this night did end. She worked through each day, but as the night moon appeared, she started her stitching and new dolls premiered. Stitch and sew, making dolls throughout the night. Each one had to be just right. Stitch and sew, and now a doll trio. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3. 3 dolls, a trio. She made a pretty doll, a funny doll, and a doll from old time past. Each doll was quite durable. Each was made to last. Dolls from diverse places, dolls of different races, dolls with happy faces. Stitch and sew, making dolls throughout the night. Each one had to be just right. Stitch and sew, dolls in the color of a rainbow. Dolls dressed in red, orange, yellow, and blue. Dolls dressed in green, indigo, violet, too. Stitch and sew, making dolls throughout the night. Each one had to be just right. Stitch and sew, and finally, 10 dolls sitting in a row. Each doll was hand-stitched. Each was unique. It's a joy to see them, so go take a peek. Stitch and sew, making dolls throughout the night. Each one had to be just right. Stitch and sew, the doll maker is on the go. So should you visit on some late evening quest, don't be surprised to see her working at her best. The doll maker makes each doll with love, as if God is calling her from our home above. And that is the story, Stitch and Sew. And this was actually my sister and me when I was quite young and had hair. That was a long time ago. But that's the story of Stitch and Sew. I hope you liked it. Good. Did you like that? Good.
Cool story.
Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions, Elise? Sure.
Question. I think that's, is it Lindsay?
Marva. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hi.
Say hi, Marva. What you have to say?
Does the story have a lot of stuff for the book in it? I know how to make dolls too with the book.
Really?
Wow.
Good for you.
Cool.
Do you like dolls? Good. Me too. I think it's sort of cool. They're sort of funny. Yeah. Good. Anybody else have another question? Anybody?
I have a question for you.
Yes. What's your question?
How long did it take you to make that book?
Oh boy, that's a good question. It took me about 2 years to write that book. Because you don't just sit down and you just don't write it. You actually, how I did this, I got the idea, and I think any story starts just with an idea. You have an idea and you want to make it into a book. You sort of think about it for a long time, and you write down little notes, and you keep those little notes. And I started the story and started writing it, and then I was thinking about the rhyming words, and there were a lot of rhyming words in it, so I'd constantly be changing the rhyming words because of, I feel like a lot of times if things rhyme, you'll remember them better. You know, stitch and sew, on the go, all those type of things where you think of the rhyming words. Then what I did is after I wrote the story, I actually joined a writers group, and I worked with other writers and met with them. We critiqued each other's work. And it was really sort of cool because we got together and I'd read their books, my books, and they made a lot of suggestions. So that took probably a good year. Then I started the illustrations, and the illustrations were all done with watercolor. And so what I did is I would come up with each of the illustrations, and what I would do is I would try to look at the real dolls. Like if you look at this doll, that's actually this one on the cover. And you try to make them look as much as they can, like this doll right here is actually supposed to be this doll. So what I did is the dolls were actually my models when I wrote the book and did the illustrations. So I had the dolls sit there, and I went ahead and painted them, tried to make them look like themselves. And probably the hardest part was making real people look like real people. That was the hardest part. Trying to make, that's the doll maker, my sister. So I had to really look at pictures of her, try to make it look like her, so I wouldn't make her mad at me and say, oh my goodness, you know, it doesn't look like me. I had to make her pretty, you know. Otherwise, sisters always get mad at you if you don't. So I had to do that, make sure her hair was fluffy like she liked and all that kind of stuff because, you know, girls are very sensitive about their hair. So I did do that. And then after I got all done with all the illustrations, then I had to make sure the illustrations and the words really went together on the page. Then I had to decide on how big to make all the different words, the font, how large it is, because if children are going to read it, you want to make sure that they can see it and they can read it and that you can read it aloud. And so then after I did all that, then I had to find a publisher. And I decided to go with CreateSpace and worked together with them on formatting the book and making sure that it was the right amount of pages and that type of thing. And then I ended up starting with my first book, I started my own little publishing company called Button Bucket Books. So then I did that to publish it. And then finally it went out on the market, and you can actually, if you go online to Amazon, you can type in Stitch and Sew, the Doll Maker Story, and it will pop up. And you can buy the book and they'll ship it to you, and you can have it at home and read it to your family. So that's sort of how that happened. So it took a long, long time to write the book, but it was fun. It's a good process, but it does take a long time. A lot of people think, oh, we'll just write a book and everything. I thought that at first. It takes a while. It really does. But a good question. Okay, any other questions?
How much input did your sister have on the book?
She had
Zero.
my inspiration for the book. I tried not to show her really anything until it was pretty much done, but I felt like she would let me know all the time if I was sort of on the right track, I think. And so she did have a lot of influence. I will say that, definitely. Yeah. So.
Question.
Yeah.
How do you thread a needle with mature eyes?
That is tricky. You thread a needle with mature eyes by getting really good glasses that you go from that, the 1.5 to like the 2.50, so you can really see, and you just have to play around with it a lot.
That's going to be in his next book.
It needs to be.
Yeah.
You need to buy the needles that you just slip the thread through it. You don't have to thread it.
I should. This is maybe the third time I've ever pulled this out of my out of my sewing kit. Not a gift. But truthfully, when you put big words in children's books, it helps people like me that have bad vision to read it without like, huh? It's really good though. So I like big words. I like big font.
Yeah, because if you see big words, it makes, well, now too, at the libraries, they make large font books for people when we start getting older and wear glasses. Yep, those are nice. I like to have large font books. Yeah, so it's sort of good. It's sort of nice to see big words, and I like rhyming words because you remember them. Yeah, you really do. So anyways, like so and duo, who can show me how many people are in a duo? Who can show me with their fingers how many people are in a duo? Anybody remember for the book? Oh, yes, two. Good.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Book, there were
Then the trio.
two.
Trio.
Yep, two, that's a duo. And how many is a trio? I'll be with your fingers.
Yeah, you gotta use your
Yes,
fingers.
three. Yes, a trio. Yes, so there's the three. 1, 2, 3 is a trio. So a duo and a trio. It's good. Okay, what I think we should probably also do next is how many of you got this wonderful kit from Zach that was sent in the mail? Did everybody? Nope, some people did, some people didn't. But if you didn't, it's okay if you did. Anyways, you wrote a really nice letter. And there was also this inside, which was a coloring page. So you can color the book or the doll from Stitch and Sew the book. And if you take the paper, I believe there were crayons in there, and there were buttons, there were sequins, there were feathers, there was a box of crayons, and there was even a bottle of glue that I got, and there were feathers, there were all kinds of things. So really all I needed was my scissors. And what I did is I started coloring, and then I cut out, and there was also construction paper there. The construction paper was nice because if you put the construction paper down and you glue the doll down on top of it before you cut it out, it'll be a little heavier. And so I decided to go ahead, and I did this earlier, where I decided to just color the doll in, and I used one of the feathers that Zach sent me. And another thing that I did is I punched holes, and I actually stitched and sewed just around the bottom of the dress with the yarn that was in it. And yeah, there were little gems for earrings and the crayons and everything. So it's sort of fun. You'll be able to actually make your own doll, and you'll be able to hang it up somewhere. They have a collection. And if you don't have a doll, you can always just take a piece of white paper and have maybe mom or dad or someone that you live with, or maybe you can do it yourself, just do a trace of it and then draw it yourself. That's even more creative, to draw it yourself. So you can do it this way, or you can draw it on your own. But what I would love is when you get your doll either colored in, or if you draw it yourself, if you would have someone in your family email it to our friend Zach. Maybe what he could do is maybe put it online. So could we
show them yours?
And that would be really cool. So that we could see.
Seems like you want to show them. You want to show them or no?
Make your own doll, and then it could be on the Deliver the Dream website, and you could actually
They like it. Look.
I like this, and you could actually sew if she ever figures out that needle.
Beautiful.
Actually make a cloth
Thank you.
of scraps. Do you think you could do that, Susan?
Definitely.
Susan could do that.
I think so. Why not? Anyways, but it would be really cool to see your dolls and how you make them. And they don't have to be perfect. Nobody has to be perfect, but it would be really neat to see them. So if you do that and somebody email it to Zach, that would be good. And how many of you did make a Hope the Bear? Did everybody make a Hope the Bear? Again, too, if you found it in the kit, if you didn't have the kit, again, you could just draw your own bear. And what I like is I just on the back a popsicle stick. And so that way it's sort of like a fun bear that you can sort of go up, and you can actually make it do all kinds of great things and sort of come in and out at you. And then, and that's sort of fun. You can just sort of do cool things. This way too, we can go up really close and see the Deliver the Dream Star logo with the hands up there. And you can do that. And then you can also do it with the Stitch and Sew doll, and she can come over and say hello to you as well. So there's a lot of cool things that we can do just, with paper and that type of thing. Because I know a lot of people are probably at home now, and I know you still probably have to do some schoolwork because I think your teachers are online too. But at least you can still do some creative activities, and that's what makes life fun sometimes, is just to have some fun time to
Covering me.
do stuff. So that'll be good. Good.
I have a question.
Yes, what's your question?
When you were writing the book, what state were you based out of? Or were you just in one state all your life, or?
Actually, I'm originally from Ohio, from Toledo, Ohio.
Oh, I'm from Lorain, Ohio. How funny is that?
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. My sister, who's the book's about, she lives in Toledo, on South Street, South Avenue.
Okay.
And the house that's actually in there, that is her actual house, still there. It's in the book. I actually had her, send me pictures of the house, and so I could do that. But I actually live in Florida. So I'm based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, but I go up to Ohio whenever I can and get to see family and do all that. So, and the house that's in this book is also still in Ohio. That the house where Happiness lived, that little house is still there. And it's sort of funny because people will, and that house has been there for like 100 years. My family doesn't live there anymore, but another family does. But it's still sort of cool that most of my books, they deal with real places. What I sort of, yeah. And I'm working on a new book right now, and my new book, well, I'm actually working on 2 new books right now, and it'll take a while. One is a family story about my grandnephew, so that should be coming out next year. And then I'm also doing another book on lighthouses. I love. Reach over here. I just did this illustration of a lighthouse. Probably be in the book, and so I love lighthouses and do that type of thing. So that's what I do. I'm an artist. I sit around and I paint. Somebody has a question. What's your question?
How many books are you reading and you make a lot of books? So do you got every book you know for making dogs?
Say that again. I don't think I quite understood the question.
How many books you read and make how many dolls? So I want to know how many dolls you got, but the books are kind of cool. So how many books are written?
She's asking you how many books have you written?
Oh, how many? Okay. I have written, well, I actually wrote a textbook. It's a book for like old people, but it actually was used in college. I did do that. So I did write a textbook. And then I've written about 3 other books. So about 3. But then I also work with other writers and do more. So yes, but I'm doing more. So do you want to write a book someday? You think you want to write a book? Good. You should. You should. I think everybody should write a book. I think it's a rewarding experience. It's nice to see your words and your pictures out there. It's really sort of fun.
Maybe you should write a book or keep a journal about what's happening while we're all home and all the new things you're doing, like meeting an author and all the cool things you might be making, like new dolls. You can make a journal of all the cool things you're doing because you're not at school and mom and dad are doing different things now. So
I like that idea. That's a great idea, Susan. That's a real good idea. And if you did write down some of the things you're doing, and like I said, like we do make dolls and everything, send it to Zach at Deliver the Dream. And maybe he'll even publish one of your stories on their website.
Ooh, fancy.
That'd be very cool.
Thank you so much, Tim. We really appreciate it. I think everyone had an amazing time. We definitely love to have you come back and read another story to us.
I would love that. I would love to. And everybody, please stay safe and use your time well, and maybe read some books and maybe color those dolls and get them to Zach. Just enjoy being with your family, 'cause it's, I know it's a stressful time, but hopefully it also can be a good time. Okay.
Let's give a round of applause for Timothy. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Before everybody gets off, I do have a couple of announcements and everything. So we do have all of our events that are new for our Hope at Home that get posted on Tuesdays on the Facebook, and Thursdays are usually our Zoom calls. I always send out emails before with the links and everything, keeping you guys up to date. I do want to let you guys know of a special event that we have happening on the 24th. We actually have a country music artist doing a private virtual concert for us, Matt Tucker, who is going to do a live virtual concert. So everyone's invited, but you do have to sign up for that one, and you sign up through our website. So you do need to go onto our website, and you'll be able to find it and be able to sign up. Of course, if you have any questions, you can email me, and I'll help you guys get that figured out. But it is limited spots, so you want to make sure you sign up so that you have your spot for it. And then, of course, I hope that you guys are all enjoying yourselves and being at home or having fun. If you guys need anything more with your kits or replacements or things, let me know so that I can get them sent out to you guys so that we can keep the fun rolling. I hope that everyone is having an amazing day so far. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, everybody. Stay healthy, and we'll see everyone soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dance party next week, so be
There's
ready
a
for a
dance party, so
fun-filled
you better
dance
be
party.
there because Susan's putting on a dance party.
You have an assignment too. You got to wear a fun hat.
Fun hat.
Okay.
We'll make sure everyone knows. Perfect.
All right, counting
right.
on you.
Awesome.
All right,
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
bye everybody.
Bye.
I love you all.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Stay safe.